Could this be an opportunity for me to escape? So he kind of looks around, see if there's any other person of authority watching him, and he goes to look, when suddenly, welcome to round 2 of Let's Build Wingtorn. We made it! Our last focus was the 3 sisters, and I hope you enjoyed those episodes. But now that we are in a different round, we will be choosing a new focus from our bowl. Ooh, yes. So, a couple of housekeeping things first. I have added some new topics to the bowl based on the events of the previous round. I still have some world building and lore that are in this bowl that I have created and established but not really fleshed out. And if we draw one of those, then I will explain what it is, and together we will flesh it out using our solo RPG tools, because that's what we are doing here on this channel. As a reminder, we are using Microscope and we are playing it solo to flesh out the world of Wingtorn. By the way, the podcast is called Wingtorn, but the actual real proper name for the world that Wingtorn is set in is Drazndraht. I don't know if I said that yet, but that's what it is. Okay, so without further ado, let's draw our focus for the round. My hair looks better down. It's hard to tell. All right, let's draw. Okay, we are drawing from the bowl once again. Okay, it's happening, I've drawn it. Can you see it? Okay, wow. Well, for round 2 of our solo Microscope journey, we have cults and secret societies. I put this in this bowl based on a couple of things. One, if you will recall, we had the best friend who was abducted in the previous round, whose name was Pitton. His name was Pitton. He was kind of a superstitious kind of fellow. The card that we drew for him was Initiate, and I had said that we haven't really established any secret societies, at least not in that time period. So who knows, maybe he went on to found something. Only other secret society that I have established in the world but haven't really fleshed out was in a previous round of Microscope that I did not film before I had the idea to do any of this. I had established a kind of, it wasn't exactly a cult, but it was a movement of people much after the First Contact War, of Fae and human people who went and kind of took over one of the islands in the Fae archipelagos, and they were trying to isolate themselves from the other communities and societies and try and live in peace together, but in a very isolationist sort of way, everybody had to cut ties with their families. So that was interesting to me, and I might want to explore that. But that is all that I have established in terms of cults and secret societies in this world. That is also very broad. It gives us a lot of wiggle room to play with. Let's continue this Let's Build Wingtorn round 2, cults and societies. So if you recall, in the previous round we did a turn order that was AA, BA, B, AA. So we're going to do the same thing as last time, except it is switched, the letters are switched. So the Oracle turn, B, is going to be the dominant turn, because technically this is their round. If you were playing Microscope with other people, you would take turns choosing the focus. So it is technically predominantly the Oracle's round. So that means that we are going to be doing a lot more dice rolling to decide the fates and such for our characters and places and things. So that's why I have all of my dice out. Well, not all my dice, but most of my dice. This many dice, or do we? Okay, so it is the first turn of the second round. It is the Oracle's turn. They could literally create an event or a scene or whatever they want with our very broad focus for the round. So we are going to put it to the dice. We're going to use our Mythic 2 Variations roll. Let's start with a very obvious question. Does this event have something to do with the best friend that was abducted. I'm going to say very likely, because I think that is a very easy place for us to start. 8 and 7 plus our very likely 4 is more than 11, so yes it does. And his name was Pitton, by the way. We established his name was Pitton, so presumably this is after he was abducted and was subsequently rescued. I'm assuming the sisters did mount a rescue operation for him. Don't know if that failed or succeeded, but I mean, if he's still alive, maybe, unless he escaped. That could be another scene. Anyway, this has nothing to do with that. This is about him. Okay, is this about Pitton founding some kind of society or cult or movement? I'm gonna say likely, +2. 6 and 5 plus 2 is 13, so yes. So he does go on to found some kind of secret society. Okay, we have to ask, in my eyes, what is the obvious question? Is this a anti-Fae secret society or cult? Maybe he had a terrible experience being abducted. This was a foundational moment for him, and he's starting a society to eradicate or undermine the Fae. Is this secret society or cult specifically anti-Fae? I don't know. I'm gonna say 50-50 on this one, because he's a superstitious person anyway, so he could have already had some ideas about the place where he lived, so I don't know if it is specifically a hateful group. Let's let the dice decide. Is this secret society specifically anti-Fae? 8 and 8, 16. Yes, it is. Okay. Jeez. Pitton founds a secret society, a anti-Fae secret society, but what is their motivations? This is a good opportunity for us to bring out our engine cards. Okay, I'm using a turned over agent card just to represent the society in general or cult. Now let's see what sort of the founding motivations are for this movement. Drawing. Wants to betray or betray someone with, or wants to deliver justice. I mean, that is kind of obvious, right? If he's been abducted by the Fae, probably endured some very terrible things. I mean, if I'm thinking about this, right, the sisters probably rescued him. Maybe we should probably start establishing whether they were successful in their attempt or not. And then his best friend, the middleest sister, Minra, she goes on to marry King Hollis and makes peace with the Fae. That probably doesn't sit very well with him. Maybe they even have some kind of falling out. Anyway, we're getting beyond this movement, but I'm just trying to think about maybe he doesn't get any kind of justice in official channels for what was done to him. And maybe others feel this way too. He was not the only one who was abducted. This is his way to get payback for what was done to him. Let's roll the dice here so we're not always hedging. Is this a movement that has the trappings of a secret society? I'm gonna say probably +2. 9 + 1 + 2 is yes. Okay, it is a movement with the trappings of a secret society. So here's what is interesting. Movements are generally very public, and secret societies are not. But I'm sort of thinking maybe something like the Masons, or any public group with private membership that has a lot of mystique around it. I think this is what this is. It is a movement, but Pitton, being a kind of superstitious guy, ends up developing certain rituals and traditions and ways of doing things to ensure that all of the members are really there for this movement and not there for any kind of ulterior motives of their own. Okay, this is very interesting. I think that's enough for an event. I'm not gonna roll every time that I draw a story engine card because I think that is inherently random. So we won't be rolling, be like, is this what it is? I will be rolling every time that I come up, or nearly every time that I come up with an idea that I'm like, is this that? If so, then roll dice. Something else that we should establish for this event specifically is when, like how many months or years after his abduction and subsequent rescue or escape does he found this cult? Let's ask the dice. Does he found this movement during the First Contact War? I'm gonna say probably +2. That is 5. And 9, that is yes. So it is during the war. He's abducted, he escapes or is rescued, he founds this movement. And especially during wartime, I think he would be very paranoid about any secret informants or just people who might betray him. Yeah, he's probably super paranoid about spies and infiltrations. Pitton, Minra's best friend, founds a secret society movement with the original intention of seeking justice for the abducted humans. Is it light or dark? I think it's dark. There are other ways to seek justice for what's been done for you, but to go to the trouble of making a whole society around this with not just a movement, but like a secret society. Yeah, I'm gonna say that this is dark. So a scene founding the secret society. So what questions do we have about Pitton's movement? Well, quite a lot. My biggest question is, was Pitton rescued or did he have to escape? It's not a real microscope question though, so we'll have to rephrase. I think we should just establish that now so we have an easier time moving forward. So let's put it to the dice. Was the sisters' rescue attempt of Pitton and some other people who were abducted successful? Yes or no? You know, given this information, I don't know if it was successful. I think maybe something went wrong. I'm gonna say very unlikely. -4, that the sisters' rescue attempt of the best friend was actually successful. 9 + 1 is 10, -4, 6. It was not successful. They tried to rescue him, but failed. This is a pivotal moment for Pitton. Our question for this scene actually is, what causes Pitton to be like, I have to do something about this, and that thing that I have to do is found a movement? Yeah, that's the question. Not the most elegant of questions, but that's the question. Part of that is that the rescue attempt of him failed, so he's stuck. Where is he stuck? So he was abducted by the Fae, taken, probably imprisoned. So to answer this question, what is the moment that he has? Something terrible happened to him or to someone that he cared about, who was also abducted maybe. So we have a couple of things that we have to establish to actually answer this question. What is the moment? So the first thing that we have established is that he was not rescued by the sisters, but he does found the society during the war. The question then that we have to ask is, does he escape? I think that this is very likely. I think +4, does he escape? 6 + 4 + 4, yes, he escapes. So the sisters fail to rescue him, or the rescue attempt fails, and he's stuck there. He escapes somehow. What is the moment? Is the moment something that happens to him during his captivity? You know, he experiences something so awful that he makes a promise to himself, when I'm free, I will seek retribution, I will seek justice for everybody who has been imprisoned here. Is the moment during his captivity? I think likely +2. 5 + 9 + 2, yes. So something terrible happens to him during his captivity. Is it something that happens to him? You know, I think 50-50. That is 6 + 5, 11. Something terrible happens to him in his captivity that makes him make a promise to himself that when he escapes, he is going to seek justice. So the question is, what happens to him? What specifically? We are going to pull out a new tool to the show. It is B.O.L.D. Now, if you are familiar with Un or Une, the same, I believe it's the same people who make this. I think Bold is maybe not as used as Un or Une because it's a little complicated to explain, but once you use it, it is very, very useful for questions like, what happened? Because it gives you a very specific answer that you can interpret quite broadly. First thing that you do when using Bold is you roll on table 1, which has a list of 10 different categories of nouns. This sounds kind of complicated, but I'll do it and it'll become clear. So that is 1. Easy foes is the first category. Then we're going to roll another d10 to determine which subcategory in easy foes. 10. Deputies. Then you roll on table 2, which is a d100 table, and it has a list of modifiers, essentially, adjectives for the event. So we've got easy foes that are deputies. Okay, so probably like face soldiers maybe. 40. Disputable deputies overcome by, and we are going to roll 2d10s on table 3. Find out what happened. Is 67. Oh, 6 plus 7. 6 plus 7 is 13. On accident. Okay, so the way that we read this full sentence is disputable deputies, in brackets, easy foes, overcome by an accident. Okay, so this is making me think that during Pitton's captivity, he was probably forced to do labor. Let's roll for that. Was Pitton forced to do labor? I think very likely +4. Yes. I think he was overseen by these probably not super high-ranking Fey soldiers, deputies, but high enough within the pecking order that they have authority over these captured humans. And they cause him bodily harm. Maybe he's mining. Maybe there's some kind of mining accident that is caused by these Fey soldiers' negligence. This is the scene. He's been working nonstop, sun up to sundown. He's bone tired, and he has been forced to work in these mines. Fey are looking for who knows what. Glittery rocks, gold, coal, some other valuable gems, slaving away. At least he has the company of some other humans, but everybody is just tired, demoralized. When he hears these lowly Fey soldiers who've probably been abusing him this whole time, he hears their chortling voices, taunting others, but then he hears them slowly fade away as they go into a different part of the tunnels. And he's thinking, that's strange. Could this be an opportunity for me to escape? So he kind of looks around, see if there's any other person of authority watching him, and he goes to look, when suddenly one of these Fey soldiers bump against the walls of this tunnel, which might be very unstable, and there is a cave-in in the stretch of tunnel where Pitton is, and he has a choice. His choice is to run towards the Fey and attempt escape, or to run deeper into the tunnels to maybe a more structurally sound part. He decides to run back because he's not going to run through falling rock. He turns around back to a more stable part where he was working, but unfortunately he is trapped, huddled together with however many other people. Let's roll a D8 maybe? Very rarely roll D8s. How many other people he was trapped with? 7. He's trapped with 7 other people in this tiny little cave. Maybe some of those people ended up joining his movement, right? No doubt he tried to dig himself out, and it is days before they are rescued. These captured humans are still valuable assets to the Fae, and while they are sitting there trying to dig themselves out, sleeping, trying to get rest, conserve oxygen, Pitton just keeps thinking, when I get out of here, they're gonna pay for what they have done, because this is not right. No one is coming for me. Whether or not he knows that there's been a rescue attempt, maybe he's so deep in these tunnels that how would he know? right? What mental space would he have to even know if somebody's going to rescue him? To him, it's just him and these other people. They have to figure out their own way out. And so in that very quiet moment in the cave, these 7 other people, he says, this isn't right, and I'm going to escape. Who is with me?